Hello, my name is Sebastian Frausto, and I did Aboriginal education. I will talk about Aboriginal education and how it is used for Aboriginals by white Australians. This, I think, is a hard topic because education is society's way of improving. I believe it is good for all people. However, the way Australians pushed education to the native Aboriginals was wrong. In fact, I believe they manipulated the educational system. Education and what education means in general. Education, I believe, is the key to success. Education allows one to gain more common and uncommon knowledge. Education allows one to learn more things and understand the world around us. However, what if this education is biased and teaches the wrong stuff to people? Is education then a good thing? For Aboriginals, education was teaching them that everything of Aboriginal custom was wrong, and therefore education was forced upon them. This ruined Aboriginal families, almost killed the Aboriginal race, because white Australians manipulated the educational system. Therefore, white Australians used education not as a way to enhance the Aboriginal people, but rather to train the kids how to forget their traditional culture and integrate into civilized society. As you can see, there was many tribes before the white settlers arrived. Aboriginal culture was strong, counting around 400 to 500 tribes. Within these tribes were families counting to 10 to 20 people. Aboriginals lived day to day, and education was mostly community-based. They had a strong and rich culture which was interconnected to the earth and family. As you can see here, there's a family learning from their dad how to do a certain chore. Difference between the cultures. Aboriginals live simple compared to white society. Kids learn from observing and listening to elders rather than in a classroom setting. A great example is from the movie Desert People, where you can see the children doing as their parents did or their mom or dad did for hunting, cooking, and tracking. Simple survival skills. Also, you saw in 10 Canoes and other various books we had to read. Aboriginal lifestyle without civilization. Aboriginals slept on the ground, they make simple food with fire, share everything, and learning, again, is observing, not graded, like with tests and all that stuff. It's from learning from what your parents do. Here you see a kid hunting with his dad. Yet the biggest difference between Aboriginal lifestyle and civilized society is in terms of success. And I believe that in a civilized society, success is determined mostly by money and ownership. To obtain this, we go to school to gain more knowledge and find a job that will help us achieve this success. After watching various films and some readings, I don't believe Aboriginals see success in the same light as we do, or as civilized society does. Aboriginal culture is based on strong community bonds rather than individual success. My opinion is that from the various films we saw and research I did and books we read, that my opinion is that making money and having a good job isn't important to Aboriginal culture like it is to most societies. So with that being said, why would an Aboriginal parent send their children to school when family and a tribe is all they need in the Aboriginal culture? In civilized society education, there's a lot of objectives. They are taught by professional teachers, and there's a classroom setting where kids are learning, there to learn, not there to watch and stuff. They're also taught multiple subjects. Another aspect that I'm going to talk about is stolen generation. The stolen generation is the worst and saddest aspect of Australian history regarding Aboriginals. Children were stolen and taken from Aboriginal mothers to be shipped into mission schools. Here they are basically trained to assimilate into white society. These children most likely never see their families again and struggle to fit in with white Australian society. Life becomes more difficult for these children. Another aspect that confuses me is the fact that the government only took the light-skinned, half-caste children. First off, this means that there was a lot of sexual intermixtion, hopefully consensual, between white men and Aboriginal women. However, these children are still bonded to their mothers, and to be abducted from their mother is horrific. And my question is, why would you only abduct the half-caste Aboriginal children and not all if the plan is to integrate all Aboriginals to Australian society? And as you can see here, there's some full-blood kids and a half-caste kid. From the movie we watched in Stolen Generation, the reasoning for only abducting the half-caste was because the full-blooded Aboriginals were dying out, or presumed to be dying out. This was that popular idea amongst white Australians. So instead of helping and saving the Aboriginal race, Australian government chose to prolong and integrate the half-caste children. And their plan was by using breeding formulas and hopefully by generations of not being with full bloods that the Aboriginal race or the blackness would disappear, which is wrong and awful. Stolen generation and education. We can understand the government did not have any intention to truly educate these stolen children. Rather, the government intended to use them as free labor and hopefully breed out the Aboriginal or the blackness in these kids. Children weren't taught but learned how to copy with fear of punishment. Like Bobby Randall said, we didn't understand what we were doing or saying, but we learned to just copy, or we would get smacked. The pros of education. You gain more knowledge, you learn how to be a productive citizen in a civilized society. There's higher opportunity to be successful in this civilized society. For instance, you get a better job, you learn how to be polite. The cons. For Aboriginals, Aboriginal children were taught to abandon their traditional customs, not taught about their traditions and customs, which is huge in Aboriginal culture. Segregate between whites and Aboriginals. Whites can allow or not allow certain kids to gain education, which to me seems unfair because school should be for all. Children are stolen and put into schools. This tears up Aboriginal families. Children didn't learn, rather they copied in fear of punishment. Today, the education for Aboriginals is much different and has more emphasis on Aboriginal traditions and customs. This allows the Aboriginal traditions to live on rather than before. Civilized education is huge. So an effort to get children to go to school longer and be taught white and Aboriginal knowledge is a new goal. From the Department of Education in Australia regarding Aboriginals says their focus is to respectfully acknowledge the past and present traditional owners of Western Australia and pay respects to the traditional customs of this land. As you can see here, here's the Aboriginal educational symbol, and it has a lot of meaning to it, which is trying to give respect to the Aboriginal race. In conclusion, Australia messed up terribly in my opinion because they gave little regards to Aboriginal culture and their way of life. They disregard the importance of family for the Aboriginal people, and I think there was a better way to integrate people into white society. Because of the stolen generation, a culture and history almost vanished. Education was manipulated and used as a tool to forcibly control a race of people. However, I think the new goals are better at mixing the education with traditional Aboriginal history. Education in Australia for Aboriginals didn't seem to educate, yet instead it was used to integrate the Aboriginal half-caste kids into society. This is why only 10% are educated now, but with the new goals and the teaching, this number is steadily going to grow. Thank you, and